Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 37 of the Alibi Podcast, in which we will complete a conversation from last week regarding Europe, concerts, and wonderful foods.
That's right. We got cut short because I was long-winded with my details about my trip to Europe. So we did not have time to discuss the concert or your very fancy sushi experiment. Or wait, did we talked
about one sushi experience.
What's the other thing you had to say? You had another story.
Yeah, there's another sushi restaurant.
What happened? Tell me about it.
Well, while on a business trip in Houston, this is one of the lost topics.
Oh yeah.
From the Pod with Pops. That probably we should try and get him next week.
We should. Yeah. Do we have mics for that?
Yeah, someone can use a phone.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, we went to a restaurant called Uchiko, which is a sister restaurant of Uchi, which is very famous. It's technically a chain, if you dare call it that.
I dare.
They probably would not like the term chain, but yes, it's a chain. But there's only a couple of them. I don't know when it becomes a chain. It's not like you can franchise in or whatever. But anyway, this is a sushi restaurant. We did here somakase, where omakase is a chef's tasting menu. Somakase is where your attendant, your waitress or your waiter, assesses your party and your budget and whatever information you may give them, and then curates a menu for you.
Okay.
For the evening, and kind of adapts it and changes it as you go. So we were a good-sized group of people with big stomachs for sushi, and no spending cap for the evening.
Oh boy.
So we had probably... Have I talked to you about this in person yet?
I don't think so.
So we had probably 19 courses. And they started us out with Yellowtail, which is just phenomenal. Yellowtail is one of my favorites to get for sure. It's kind of a sharp flavor, and then they'll serve it with a little jalapeno pepper on it, some kind of oil or something.
Wow.
I really enjoy that. I've had it quite a few places now. So they started us out with Yellowtail.
What's it called again?
Yellowtail
Just
is
yellowtail?
the kind of fish.
Like a sashimi
People have
version?
different styles of yellowtail serving it, but
Okay.
yeah, it's just a yellowtail fish served however they like. So they started us out with their yellowtail dish, and it was really good. They had a couple of yellowtail dishes throughout the evening. But anyway, it carried on. They had lots of good stuff. Pops really, really loved the Wagyu.
Of course.
There was a couple different kinds of Wagyu.
Love it.
And he loved them. And so we did like the whole thing, and we eat all these courses. And the way it works is there's 5 of us there, so everyone kind of gets one bite of each, maybe 2 bites of each thing that comes out. And so we do all this, and then we get to what was intended to be the end of the somakase experience. And the waitress brings out a dish, and she says, "This is the last thing that I have for you." And everyone went, "Aww." And so Pops was like, "Well, I really want my last bite of the night to be that Wagyu. So can we get another round of the Wagyu?" And everyone was like, "Well, I would also like one more bite." And so we ended up getting 5 more courses after that.
Oh, poor waitress.
No, I don't think she considered that sad.
No.
That's a win.
That's a win? Okay.
Because it was not cheap sushi.
I mean, sure, but like the experience that she curated, you're like, all right, well, now we're going off the rails here.
No, because it's supposed to adapt and change. Like, that's how it's supposed to go. If you want more, you want more, right?
Okay,
and
well, then
also,
good. Yeah.
The reason they stop is to keep the check reasonable, which...
Reasonable.
Yeah. Anyway, we had more, and then we were like, okay, bring us out like a closer.
Yeah.
One more dish. And so she did, but we wouldn't let Zach have any. Pops, I call him Zach at work.
Yeah.
We wouldn't let him have any because he wanted his last bite to be the Wagyu, and we were like, you can't have the closer. You had the Wagyu.
That's
like,
right.
end
You're
it
done.
there. It was probably a good decision because the closer was just a really interesting choice. It was a mushroom nigiri thing.
Wow, yeah, I think I would also like to finish with
It was like
Wagyu.
a big chunk of mushroom that had been like fried and marinated. It kind of tasted similar to you remember when we had like Hawaiian Spam sushi?
Yeah.
It was kind of similar to that, actually.
Interesting.
Maybe just because like the mushroom was pickled or something like that. I don't really know the details of that super well. But then we had dessert.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Like a deconstructed cheesecake.
I think
for
I might
starters.
have saw a picture of that.
Yeah, we sent pictures probably in the family group chat. So it's like a little ball of like mascarpone cheese, and then a little bit of jelly, and then like I can't remember, like some kind of cracker or something. Like,
Alrighty then, whatever floats your boat.
it was good. It was all right. It was good.
Yeah,
The
it's probably
real
like a
star
$60
of the
dessert,
show,
bro.
the real star of the show was the other dessert we got, which was like chocolate, really, really creamy, smooth chocolate soft serve with warm mini cream-filled donut holes, drizzle of chocolate syrup, and Captain Crunch on top.
All right. I see you.
Okay. Come on.
We like the fancy restaurants to lean into, the more basic tastes. Captain Crunch is one of the main food groups.
Yeah,
for
Captain Crunch is just
people whose
like,
income is under $60,000. A year. That's the
kind of an out of left field choice, though. It didn't match anything else on the menu, and it was really nice. It was. This is
a
something
little bit of fun.
also-
It's that sprezzatura that they always talk about, on TikTok.
It's something that I feel like I could maybe recreate at home.
Oh, that's good.
I
tried to recreate
maybe
dessert at
not
home this
to
week.
that quality, but I could have chocolate ice cream with Captain Crunch for sure.
I tried to recreate a dessert at home this week.
Tell us about it.
In Spain, you have the churros with hot chocolate.
Yep.
It's like a much thicker, creamier, fudgier kind of chocolate. And the churros are different from Mexican churros. But that's one of the things that I was like, I kind of want this in my life. I want this in my life. So I went to the Mexican grocery store up by Camacho's, and I got some churros. Took them home and asked ChatGPT for a Spanish hot chocolate recipe. So I made for myself Spanish hot chocolate, and I had the churros, and I dipped it, and it was not the same, but I would say it was certainly comparable, and it was delicious. It was great. Probably, again, very inferior to the Spanish experience, but as far as like trying to replicate at home, because you need to scratch the itch, it wasn't that bad.
Nice.
I'd say it was acceptable.
I'm trying right now to see if I can find a spot.
Here with the Spanish hot chocolate and churros.
I feel like your best bet is going to be a Mexican restaurant, which is not going to be the same. I mentioned last week, I think, that we made our own tiramisu. Ooh, there's a spot.
Yeah, you did.
This looks like a nice attempt.
Yeah, it's similar.
Anyway, yeah, we made our own tiramisu. That was a vibe. We liked that. I believe you have a concert to tell us about.
I do, in fact, I actually have a concert to tell us about. I went to, last week, a Breaking Benjamin concert featuring Stained.
Bro has something in his eye.
There's something in my eye, bro. Goodness gracious. Anyway, I went to Breaking Benjamin and Stained, saw them in concert. Also, they had some band called Lakeview, which honestly was about what you would expect from a band called Lakeview at a Breaking Benjamin concert. It was weird, but also a band called Wage War. Wage War was one of my favorites, actually, of the evening. They're very much more on the metalcore kind of vibes. They were a lot heavier than I think any of the other bands, and Stained gets pretty heavy. But the lead singer, there's something about metal music that's just kind of, it's just gnarly, bro. It's just, it's kind of cool. You know, it's just by nature cool. But this guy's walking around. He just, like, what's the word? I lost the word. I went blank. Paces. He's just pacing back and forth. Like Ronnie Radke at the front of the stage screaming, and it's just this heavy drop. This is an opener, though, so nobody's really getting that engaged, which was a little bit sad. I kind of did some mod and slammed into the person next to me. We were up. It was just for fun, but we were up in the stands, so it didn't work. But Stained was an interesting experience. I'm not too familiar with Stained. I think they're a little before my time in the first place. But their mix, first of all, was excellent. It was remarkable. It felt like probably the loudest mix I've ever heard at a concert.
Wow.
It just felt loud, but I pulled out the decibel meter, and it did not, like, break 101.
101 decibels in an arena is very different from in a small venue, though.
It's true. What's that supposed to mean, though?
It just means that it is loud. Like,
oh, it's certainly loud. Oh, yeah, it was loud. But, I mean, hearing damage is like 120 or something.
That's what they say.
I don't know.
You definitely need to take environment into account when talking about that.
Yeah, well, both my decibel meters, and I downloaded 2 separate apps, and they both said they were hanging out in the 95 range for the most part. But their quality of mix was super crispy. Like, everything was really tight. Like, the guitars were tight on, like, the EQ and everything. The drums were, it was so crisp. Like, the way the smack of, like, a tom. Mm-hmm. It was so good. Like, it was probably the best mix I've ever heard in that space.
And so their mix is better than the headliner?
It was better than Breaking Benjamin for sure.
Wow.
I think it was meant to be more of a dual headline tour. I don't know. Stain's been around longer.
Okay.
And I think had more hits maybe, but Breaking Benjamin definitely has quite like a cult following. You know, people really like them. But the singer for Stained was also kind of an interesting experience because he reminded me of like an older coworker at the job who doesn't care, but also just casually does the job better than anybody else. You know, so he's like between smoke breaks putting out the best work. It's like a mix of heavy music and then more like dad rock vibes. So like he would sing, an excellent vocal performance. Like he was killing it, but he's just sitting there, not really moving, not putting on a show. He just sings and he would scream and then he just walks away slowly, takes a drink, walks back over. Phenomenal vocal performance again, and then walks away. Like, it was just like the least effort, but also like phenomenal singing. You know, like the vocal performance was great. Not much of like a dance around and put on a show, stage presence kind of guy, but at least not now. He's been doing it for like 20 years, but it was kind of cool to watch. And the way he introduced songs, he was like, I've written a lot of songs about a lot of things over the years. And this is one of them. And then he just do this song. I did not care, but he was still putting up quality work. So it was kind of funny. It was amusing. And Breaking Benjamin, I feel like they might have been having some audio problems because their audio was cutting out.
Oh, wow.
Like, genuinely, like, stop for a bit. And, like, you would hear the drums, like, the real drums, and you'd be like, what? And then it would come back, and it would be like coming back halfway, and the vocals would still be gone, and then it would all come back. It sounded like a problem with like the amplifiers or something. Maybe, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the equipment, like the Snakes or whatever, because it's the end of the tour. It was the last show of the tour. So
that's unfortunate, though.
Yeah, that sucks. But
like you expect. I can understand, like, hey, it's the end of the tour. The gear's been through it.
Yeah.
These bands discard their full gear after the tour. So this was, like, the end of life for the equipment. But also, you would hope that by the end of the tour they have their kinks ironed out.
You would think so. But, I don't know. It was a good show. I would say, like, unremarkable as far as, like, stage presence and, like, performance. But, everybody loves the songs. Everybody's there for the music. Breaking Benjamin's not like we're so metal, we're a rock band kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there for the image and the gangster of it. They're,
Right.
Like, everybody who's there is there because of the songs. So, that's fine. That's a good experience, in my opinion.
Speaking of bands from before our time,
Yeah.
the All-American Rejects,
Oh, yeah.
which is a band I don't really know anything about.
Dirty Little Secret.
I know that song.
Dirty Little Secret.
Yeah.
That song was in a movie.
Yeah. Before our time. But anyway, they are really doing their thing right now to reach us, our age group. They apparently got so upset about all the Ticketmaster debacle and the prices of big shows, and probably, if I had to guess, the cost on the band to actually tour.
Yeah.
That they loaded all their stuff up in a van, and they find backyards in cities, and they just do backyard shows.
Rent to Airbnb and just bring everybody.
Or they do it in like frat houses, that sort of thing.
That's crazy.
And so it's blowing up to the point that you and I, who don't even listen to them, now are like talking about it, aware of it. Right? If it was happening in our neighborhood, we'd go.
Probably.
Right? So it went from like reaching like this niche group where it would be like, hey, maybe 50 people in this area are fans and would hear like, oh, they're doing this, to the point that now it's so viral that like I would drive across town for it. Like,
of course you would, yeah.
Right.
All
And
the way
it's-
across town.
Right, and I don't mean like I mean like I would drive up to the city or something. Like, if this was happening, people come, right? And even people who don't actually know or like their music are coming just because A, it's a viral phenomenon, and B, that's super cool, right? Like they're jumping off the roof and like setting up speakers in a backyard. Like that's a great time.
Until the cops get called on you.
Yeah, and of course, every time the cops get called and someone takes a video and that goes viral too. And a lot of times the cops are pretty cool about it because again, they're not doing this in like calm, quiet residential neighborhoods. They're doing it in like college towns, in rows of frat houses. It's not like anybody. This sort of thing happens all the time.
Sure.
It's just there's a limit of how many people can be publicly gathered before the police are like, what's going on?
Right.
And of course, like lines around the block, crowds blocking traffic, like it gets to be quite a few people now that this is such a viral phenomenon. But I think that's really cool. I'm excited when I see things like this happen because maybe I'm not going to go to all the trouble of attending one of those because there's so many people now. But if a local band started doing that, I would go. I'd go support.
I'm curious though, like, does it make sense financially?
For the All-American Rejects?
Well,
or for anyone?
Really, for anyone. I mean, long term, obviously, that's not sustainable because bands have been doing it forever and eventually have to stop.
Sure.
And as far as like the All-American Rejects, like how much are they charging for tickets? Like it's a backyard.
It's free shows. It's free shows or a couple bucks if they like can make it work. They're not making money. They're eating the cost to pave the way. Is probably what they imagine in their minds.
Well, fortunately, they have money. They're making money from OnlyFans to pay for it. So
What?
that's true.
Really?
The lead singer of the All-American Rejects started OnlyFans.
That's so funny. I was going to say they're making money off of that movie they were in, but whatever.
It's movies for sure. It is movies. That's probably how the money coming in.
Okay, all right. But anyway, yeah, like the smaller bands, they do that to build the following, though.
Right, yeah.
Right? It's someone that no one knows about or cares about that finds a backyard to play in, and I'll go to a backyard show for a band I don't know if it's close by, right?
I think the All-American Rejects aren't doing it to build a following, they're doing it to build a culture, in a sense.
Oh, 100%.
Or
Like I said,
at least
pave
that's
the
how
way.
it's turning out, because all of that kind of died, and I hope it comes back. On a
Garage
large
bands.
scale, but like
Yeah.
garage bands, backyard shows, smaller venues, live music in general. It became you go to an arena or a festival or a stadium and pay $700 to see a mega star from 100 yards away,
And it's sad because I want to see the artists that I like succeed.
Yeah,
But also, I like kind of by default start to not so much like artists once they're doing that.
Unless they're too big, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
To the point that I definitely won't go see them live. Like
I would
Brandon
agree.
Lake is one we've talked about, and he's skyrocketed, and I will not buy tickets to go see him on his next tour.
Well, the thing, again, Brand Lake is different. We agreed that worship music is good with 10,000 people.
Nonetheless, the price of the tickets,
Well,
right?
the price of the tickets is significant. It's like $150
It's more than that
for
now.
just one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what
That's what it was
going to be
before, megastar fame.
before Hard Fought Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Before Jelly Roll.
Right, before the
he's performing
crossover.
he's performing in stadiums right now with Jelly Roll, but yeah, I think the kind of culture of like going to a show and having fun became very much more niche than it was. Like being in pits and standing room only shows. Like obviously it never went away, but as far as like what I was aware of for the most part, like it wasn't.
Well, it's because we had like the years that a lot of people would have gone to those back in the day, like 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Right, when we were hitting that age is like
Kind of the COVID.
yeah, 2020. There was no touring, right? So we're still. I mean, you're not 20 yet, but
No, yeah.
I'm past 20. But like, we're able to get into that scene a little bit more now as it's kind of making a return.
Right, yeah. And there was, I don't know, I just feel like financially it's the same thing as like everything. Yeah, people say like it's like you got to be rich or you're going to be broke,
Bands have
Like,
to eat the cost of touring.
Either you're going to go on a giant stadium tour with 100 legs and make $1 billion, or it doesn't make sense financially to go on tour.
Yeah, a lot of the bands I actually want to see on tour, they have to eat the cost to even tour.
Mm-hmm. You have to sell a lot of expensive tickets to really make money anymore, and it's kind of the way it's lost its appeal, I think. Plus, like when you're going on tour, like this is your full-time gig. You got to quit your day job. You got to go do it, and a lot of people do it because they're like, oh, I'm gonna get big off of this tour, and then I'm gonna be able to be a full-time musician. So it's like, oh, I'm taking this year-long gamble, and that's where bands die because you don't make it there. So it's just it's a tough scene. It's a tough
It's
scene.
hard.
It's a real tough scene. But I tell you what, I really enjoy going to a crowded, smaller show.
Yeah.
Standing room only and let's get lit.
Yep. 100%.
It's definitely more fun than an arena of 7,000 to 10,000 people watching.
I agree. All right. Do you have any more stories about Europe that are worth our time?
I think I hit the highlights, I think, but I heard that you bought some tickets.
I did. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I can tell you I'll tell you more about the trip once I take it, of course. But
Obviously.
This past week, I had enough FOMO from your trip. I finally actually purchased the tickets for the trip I've been talking about. Our rough itinerary is we're going to fly from Kansas City to Florence, Italy. Layovers in Detroit and Paris.
Okay.
Short layovers. Florence first. Trains around Italy.
I heard you're staying the night in Paris.
We'll get there. That's on the return trip. We're staying a night in Paris on the return trip. Yeah, so short layovers, going to Florence. We're going to go from Florence to Rome by train, from Rome to a little town, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, called Vietri sul Mare.
Yeah.
Right on the Amalfi Coast.
So
spending a day at the beach. And then Naples is close to there, so we'll get to Naples.
Come on now.
Have sort of a day in Naples before we fly over to Tel Aviv, which is the closest airport to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
A couple days in Jerusalem. We're getting tattoos in Jerusalem.
Let's go.
At the oldest tattoo shop in the world, at least documented and verified. They've been doing tattoos on Christians in the Christian quarter of Jerusalem for like 1,300 years.
It's quite a while.
The same family. They have stencils dating back like 700 years.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna get tattooed there, and then we're gonna fly back out from Tel Aviv to Paris, where the layover is like 20 hours. So we're gonna get a hotel. We're gonna go see the Eiffel Tower and have basically a day in Paris.
You have any reservations yet?
Nope, that's the next thing.
You
Next thing
might
on the
get
agenda.
some reservations in Paris if you want something
100%,
nice, especially
yeah.
by the Eiffel Tower. You should probably
Yes,
hurry
dinner
up.
reservations in Paris, dinner reservations. I will probably have a reservation every day. That's the way I do trips.
Yeah.
So I will probably have a dinner reservation every day. I'm not sure about Jerusalem. They're not known for their food scene. It might be more of a street market type of a thing.
Especially if you're gonna be eating kosher, you know.
Yeah, I
That's
don't really know the vibe
thing.
there. But in Italy and in Paris, we will have dinner reservations. 100%.
Absolutely. So how long are you gonna be in Italy total?
It's like 10 days, 9 days in Italy, and then the Jerusalem and Paris. Something close to that. No.
So 9 days or so, and you're gonna be spending
whole
like
trip
3
is
days
2
in
weeks.
one place.
The whole trip
2
is
days
2
in one
weeks.
place. One
Yeah.
day. Okay. Okay. I'm a little jelly. I got to see Rome, which definitely is a good solid 3-day itinerary. You know,
Okay.
good to get it out of the way. But I really want to see Florence, Naples.
Yeah. Florence was my
Venice.
number one to visit. We're not doing Venice because it's like all the way north of there.
yeah.
And also, it seemed like a whole nother beast to try and fit in on this trip.
100%.
Florence is my number one bucket list stop.
The
in
whole
Italy.
the whole Naples and like the regions by the Amalfi Coast and all that.
Yeah, that's bucket list just because it's beautiful. Florence is food and art. The coast is, one of the prettiest coasts in the world, I've heard.
I definitely want to go all over Italy, all over that place. I might have to.
Go live there for a couple months?
I might. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm not above it. I'm not below it.
If I can make it work.
I'm looking at it. Wherever
yeah.
it is, I'm looking at it. But yeah, I really want to. I'd love to spend a lot of time in Italy. That'd probably be like the first thing I did if I could get successful with music. And like, if I had income from the United States and I could quit my job, I would book flights, dude. I would get a spot because it's cheaper to live over there, bro. It's cheaper.
Yeah, and you can get a
to live over
short-term
there.
lease
You
somewhere.
get a short-term lease, get a short-term visa, spend 3 to 6 months living in Italy. Just go around different places even, I want to see the whole country.
Maybe,
And it's small. It's like exploring Texas. It's smaller than exploring Texas, probably.
yeah, I'm sure Texas is huge.
Texas is big.
You could probably go back to school and do like an exchange program.
That would be funny. Yeah.
Because then, you just live on a campus somewhere.
Yeah. Actually, that's the thing. I could study abroad.
Yeah.
Like it's still a possibility.
Yeah, you're young. You
Like-
got time.
It would not be like financially stupid even.
No.
Because I could do like $5,000. I could spend a year studying abroad in Italy, and it would make sense. Like $5,000.
You could
for
do
a
it in
year.
Florence.
Yes. The school is cheap over there. For
Is
the
it? I
tuition.
don't know all that, but
Well, I know in Spain, Sylvia was telling us if you go to like a regular college, you can get a semester for like $1,000.
oh wow, yeah, that is very cheap compared.
And
to
then
here.
if you're spending like,
It's probably better education too, because the American education
and then you're
system
spending like
sucks.
$400 a month for rent, $1,000 for a semester. Like, dude, all in,
You could do it for like 15,000 or less.
it's not that bad. And especially if like you live on campus.
Yeah, because it's to the point that flying there costs more than a semester of school.
It's crazy. Yeah, but again, it wouldn't be that bad. But the problem is I've already kind of got a career that I'm working on, and I can't just leave my clients
You got
for.
a career, you got a girlfriend,
Right.
you got a church. It's a lot of stuff.
Can't just
to
leave everything for 6 months. But
That's how I feel also. I got a wife, I got a job, I got a church.
So sad. My heart breaks for you. Anyway, yeah, we'll all make it to Italy, but we're about out of time for today.
We are.
We'll see. We might have
Let's-
to do these like the Kelsey brothers across time zones.
Across time zones,
across,
yes. We're going to try our best to get pops for next week.
Let's do it. Sounds
See
good.
if we can make that happen.
All right.
Peace out.
See you then.